Welcome back to Keep Expecting Miracles. I am Ilissa.
And I'm Jessica.
Yay! We're here today with a very special episode. We
Yes.
are in our series of featuring Black women and their spiritual gifts and how they embody and operate in their spiritual gifts. And so we are excited. We have interviews lined up. We have guests, and it's just so exciting for me because I'm just like, oh my gosh, people actually want to come and talk to us. How about you, Jessica?
Same. Same.
Yes.
Same. It's
Yes.
it's a thing. It's like a I don't know the word to say, but to invite our people to come here. Like we have a space where we want to talk to you. We want to hold space for you as you've been holding space for everyone else who discovers you on your platform. And we're just so grateful for everyone who's like, yeah, of course. And every
Hmm.
time we get a yes, we're like, oh my gosh.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes.
I guess it's actually happening.
Yes. We have
Mhm.
someone here that we found on Instagram when she found us. And so we um looked at her page and her website and everything that she does lives, and so we were looking at her lives and listening to her live video on Instagram, and everything that she was saying just resonated so deeply for me and for Jessica. And so like, who is this lady? Can we talk to her? She seems nice, her face seems soft and beautiful, and she seems familiar. Let me just ask her. And so she is Miss Sanaa Green. She's a quantum healing hypnotist. She has many spiritual gifts, and so we're going to talk to her about those today. But we want to welcome you. We want to welcome you.
Welcome.
Sanaa Green is a priestess of the divine feminine, here to help reestablish the divine feminine energy as a principle to live by. As a human design manifester and a fire sign, she uses her intuitive and energetic nature to elevate others. She offers energetic support to amplify, elevate, and activate women to live in the center of their power. Upon request, she created the Amululu Priestess Activation Circle to support women on the Priestess Path Glow. Through intuitive visions and past life regression, she recalled that she is a starseed who has lived on various planets and stars, including Sirius B and Arcturus. In this life, she has rediscovered ancient practices such as Kundalini orgasmic practices. She is a holistic belly dance teacher, urban nature lover, Reiki master, environmental educator, landlord, and community activist. Sanaa has been spiritually trained in Black Hat Sect Tantric Buddhist, Feng Shui, Reiki, belly dance, Dagara elemental rituals, and more. Her academic training includes master's work in transpersonal psychology with a concentration in eco psychology at Naropa University and a Bachelor of Arts in Communications from Howard University. Sanaa is certified in quantum healing hypnosis technique, a method that was created by Dolores Cannon. Through this technique, she guides women and a few brave men through past life regressions to clear beliefs that limit good health, prosperity, and happiness. Many limiting beliefs develop in past experiences in this current life or previous incarnations that became shadow beliefs. During quantum healing hypnosis, Sanaa helps clients connect to the higher consciousness that can answer any questions. Someone asked me to answer this question, so I decided to include it for your information. What do you stand for? Sanaa says, I stand for the earth and the feminine soul she exudes. I believe reconnecting to this presence is a return to the union between the cosmos, the creator, our soul, and the earth. This union is the true expression of our ascended nature. Awakening this knowledge is a sacred medicine I carry. I share this medicine with every aspect of my being and work. I stand for the full expression of the mystical woman in her full power. I stand for balance between the masculine and the feminine. I stand for the reclamation of all multidimensional aspects of ourselves from every lifetime, timeline, dimension, star system, planet, and life form. Please welcome to our show, Sanaa Green.
Oh, thank you so much. I am so honored and pleased to be here with the two of you. And I'm so glad we connected.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes. We are learning to listen to our intuition and, step out on a limb and just operate within the spirit. And so we are grateful for this opportunity. So we're just going to get right into it. Our first segment is our I am segment, and that represents us and our full divinity. But for our guests, we want to cater that to you. And so the first question that we want to ask you is, how and when did you discover your spiritual gifts?
Okay. Well, so it was after my father passed away in 1997. After he passed away, I could feel his spirit around. And so I was really interested in why I could still feel him. And then I went, that was my spiritual awakening. And I went on a deep dive of investigating what that was. And first I did a lot of prayer and meditation. And then um, I did a class at church. I was in a Christian church, and they had a class on spirituality, on spiritual gifts. And so they used the Bible to be able to kind of gauge spiritual gift. To some of the gifts that they talked about was the gift of prophecy, of gift of taking care of others, gift of giving. It was, and there were probably about 15 or 16 gifts, and they had a book that went along with the course, and that was how I started. So, because I felt that since I was a Christian and I was really dedicated, that the way for the spiritual awakening was to go deeper into the Christian church, and that's kind of how I started. But then what ended up happening is I wasn't getting the type of information that I felt was really relevant to what I was experiencing. One time I went to the church where I was going. I was living in Brooklyn at the time, Brooklyn, New York. And I went to the church where I was in the neighborhood that I had gone to a few times. And I asked to speak to the minister, the pastor, because I was trying to understand what was going on, because it was so much different than what I had experienced before. And they told me that the pastor didn't bother with this type of appointment, and that they would let me talk to an associate minister in the church. And I said, okay. So they set up an appointment with this woman, an associate minister. And I walk in and she says, oh, okay, well, okay, I'm going to pray with you, sister. I got about 5 minutes before we go to this next blah, 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 blah thing. And I'm like, I'm having a spiritual crisis. What's going on? I need somebody to sit and talk to me about what's happening here. And she said, okay, well, I'm going to pray with you, blah, blah. And she did some kind of like prayer from a book or something. And sent me on my way.
Yeah.
I said, oh my goodness, okay. And so after that, I had been laid off from my job. Well, we agreed, my job and I agreed that we would no longer be together.
Right. Exactly.
We had an understanding. We said, you know what? I think we have to break up. I think we mutually agreed. So, so I was at home and I was praying, and I was, music is a way that I understand things often, and that I get messages, and that And so I was praying and I was listening to these songs, and this one song that I was listening to all the time was, I don't even know if you all know this because this may be before your time. It's called Speak to My Heart, Lord.
Oh,
Have you
yes.
heard that song?
Uh-huh.
Speak to My Heart? Yeah. So I
Yes.
was listening to that, and Show Me Your Way, Show Me Your Holy Will. And I was listening, and I was sitting and listening and praying and meditating and singing these songs. And then I was led to study Feng Shui. And I'm like,
Mm.
Feng Shui? Okay. Because, by this time I realized that I really was not going to get the type of guidance that I really needed from Christianity, from what I knew of
Yeah.
Christianity at the time.
Yes, yes.
So, and so then, I studied Black Hat sect, Tantric Buddhist Feng Shui, which really dealt with, so I learned about Buddhism and meditation and the whole notion of the Buddha being inside of you, like you are the Buddha. You become that which is, you become the infinite and eternal presence. That's what it is. Um, and so, and it also dealt with ancestors and spirits and different realms of existence,
Okay.
nature, energy, and how all of those pieces work together.
Together.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
How long was
Wow.
this class?
It's a 3-year. The professional training program is a 3-year program, and it was
Wow.
at the New York Open Center
Mm.
in New York City.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. So, and the professors, the teachers actually came from San Francisco. They were taught by Professor Lin Young, who's in feng shui practitioners in Chinese culture are considered shamans.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, they're considered shamans.
All
And
right.
I actually at one point feng shui was actually outlawed during the time of communism because of
Really?
its spiritual
Because
connection
of
and power.
how powerful it
Hmm.
was. Wow.
Yeah.
And you see, the only feng shui I have been introduced to is like feng shui for decorating your home. Like,
Hmm.
that's all. I didn't have any knowledge of spirituality and the connection to it. And obviously there's a way, with the elements, but I was never introduced to it in another way. But I think you were, Jessica, right?
Yes, that's why I'm like, what?
I know there's a lot of connections, a lot of
I'm like,
Oh,
connections.
you studied feng shui, Jessica?
I am, yeah. I'm like studying it. It's moving in parts because I'm not in program to learn it. And so what I have to do, it's such a I find it to be a very difficult thing for me to learn. And so I have to allow myself to take in the information, pause for a while, allow it to set in, practice that information, practice that, put it into practice, and then I can go back to it. And so I had to study it just because my life had flipped turned upside down, and I was
Hmm.
like, what's happening? What's
What
happening
makes it
here?
what makes it difficult for you to
There are a
understand or
lot
take in?
of I started off with the space, using it when it comes to the home. I started learning it that way, and that's what I'm still on. And so it's the how does one thing correlate to the next, like having your bed here means that, or this has to be pointed in the northwest direction, and this is what, like, I'm having to take time to like really understand the why and the how. So
Yeah.
it's like, even like in my home, I just did this a few days ago, where I'm like, my house is not balanced, and I see a
Mm.
shadow over my home, and I'm like, I don't know why that is. And so I think about, I have to embody what I learn. And I'm like, oh, how do I apply balance? Well, let me just put two plants right at the front of my driveway, one on either side. Boom. That's going to open up the pathway for it to, have the energy flow that way and welcome this positive energy into the home. I also added like wind chimes to the front of my door so that as people are passing by and as I'm, even in my home or someone's coming in, the chimes ring and it kind of cleanses the energy there. So I can't necessarily say like why it's taking, I don't know. but I'm like in awe.
Yeah, well, that's
Of
really
that.
good that you're taking time to absorb and allow the information to integrate.
Yeah.
And really, when you think about feng shui as a part of the home, there really, or as a way of a decorating technique, there really is not a direct separation. That's really the separation that we're working to bridge between the divine feminine and divine masculine, between creativity and logic, and between because really in nature everything is interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really is separate from the other. And so what we do in our home, and then if you think of in the black hat sect method of feng shui, it doesn't deal directly with directions. There are different schools of feng shui.
Mm.
And in the black hat sect school of feng shui, as I mentioned, it's based on Tibetan Buddhism, and the Tibetan style of Buddhism is very much it's ornate and ritualistic,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and it's not the same take on Buddhism as it is in India.
Okay.
So, so with feng shui as well, it really is about understanding that everything is energy. Everything is energy. We are energy beings. Every plant is an energy being. Everything in your home has an energy,
Mm-hmm.
and so everything works in connection and in support of the other.
Mm.
And so it can be beautiful and functional and spiritually aligned, and it could be a cure for something that's happening in your life.
Mm.
And and really, in my mind, really, it's what we're really wanting to do is have a balance, like you said, and understand ourselves and everything in our surroundings to be interconnected, multidimensional,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
that's really the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Mm.
see that now. I think about when it comes to clutter and oh my goodness, so much stuff is going through my head as far as womb healing and clutter in the closet and holding on to things that were given to me that I no longer need. I feel that deeply, you saying that, because that is what really connected Jessica and I, as we were both healing our wombs together. And so that was one of the things. I'm just like, I have all these clothes that my mom has given me or people has given me, and I don't even want them. I don't even need. And so I'm like, I just need to give it. So I just have like so many thoughts in my brain. It makes total sense. Like, and I am familiar with. I was introduced to Tibetan 5 element tantra. And so it's exactly what you're saying of like connecting with the elements and just the interconnectedness of nature and just things holding energy. So yeah, that is, I am like, oh my goodness, this is this is great. But so I wanted to go back to, I'm so happy that you brought up Christianity because that is obviously at the forefront, and it was actually the fear and the hesitancy that Jessica and I had to get over with starting this podcast. Because, I am Christian, Jessica's Christian, and so are our family members. And so we knew that these conversations that we would be having would trigger certain people and that we would have to be ready to answer questions or have, passive aggressive comments made. And so we really wanted to highlight and talk about, like, yes, we are Christian, and this also applies to us too. We don't
Mm.
have to give up our Christian beliefs or our belief in God to practice or learn these other, spiritual concepts and apply them to our life. We can be both, and it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be either or.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes, yes, and it's a it's it can be very challenging to delve outside of the container, the religious container that we've been raised in, that the country is built on. And there's so many cultural connections. And even though I don't consider myself, I don't go to church anymore, but I still miss church because I love gospel music. My stepfather was a gospel musician, and my mother sang, and I've sang in choirs, and have been really involved in churches over the years. And it's just right now, it doesn't resonate with me in the same way. Now, what I found was really helpful and what allowed me to stay inside in the fold of the Christian church to feel it, because really I'm probably very much, I'll say this, well, what I found is that when I can identify with Jesus the Christ and his direct teachings, and I still consider Jesus a master teacher and an ascended master and a model of how we can be in the world as human beings who are connected to the divine. Some of the religious principles, in my mind, even as a child, there were some things that were said in church that didn't seem true to me. I just, even as a child, felt like that's not exactly the way that was really meant to go. However, there are a lot of truths in the Bible and a lot of truths in Christianity. It's just that sometimes the way that we've been taught to understand some of these truths based on based on a perception of fear.
Yes.
And the fear, I guess, as in some cases, was necessary because it was what prompted people to be fully committed to the spiritual path. I'm fully committed to my spiritual path, and it's not because I'm afraid.
Right.
So, and the thing is, and I've talked to people, and it's interesting that it has come up several times recently. I don't think people, we don't have to fall out just because I don't believe in Christianity exactly the same way you believe. Because there's still a lot of things that I do that I can understand, and I don't have to. I feel like it's easier for me, more loving, a more direct example of the way that Christ lived. If I'm loving and accepting of everybody and their beliefs, and understand that, okay, well, they don't quite understand it in the same way that I do. And that's okay. We can still agree on this larger concept. We agree on love. We agree on the concept of whatever it is you can agree on.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then I also spent time with the unity teachings. Are you familiar with unity?
No.
So the unity teachings, and there are several books that are written. One of the books that I just pulled out recently, and I guess it's by divine order that I pulled it out because, it was one of the books that I started off when I was in the process of the spiritual awakening, and I didn't set Christianity down. I was still trying to get in it and understand it. I actually was working in a master's program, and I was like, okay, yeah, I was thinking about getting a master's of divinity because I really wanted to understand. I really wanted to understand, and I was so devoted to this spiritual path. And the Unity Church, there's this one book called Discover the Power Within You. Discover the Power Within You. It's by Eric Butterworth. Okay. And I love this book because it takes some of the concepts in Christianity and it reframes them. So one of the things that I memorize, and it's like a part of my regular spiritual practice, he did a treatment of the Lord's Prayer. You all familiar with the Lord's Prayer?
Yes.
Okay. And so, at the beginning it says, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I'm a Vacation Bible School. I was so proud when I got my Bible in Vacation Bible School.
Yes.
So, but what he says, and when he reframes it, instead of our Father, it says, we are now conscious of the infinite and eternal presence in which we live and by which we think and create. This presence in us is whole and complete. It is the activity of health that heals, of love that harmonizes, of substance that prospers, of intelligence that inspires. My desire for betterment is God's desire to perfect that which he is expressing as me, and I let him have his way.
Wow.
And so that's a part of it. So it's really kind of taking that. So when you're in church and you're saying the Lord's Prayer, you can be thinking in your mind, but this is really another take on what this is saying, that I am the infinite and eternal presence. There is no existence outside of the presence of God, because I am that
I
presence
am
expressing
that
as me.
presence. Yes.
So there's no way that your heart beats without the infinite and eternal presence. What you when you already see that what you think, what you can bring about is in direct relation to how you feel and what you sense. And so the Unity Teachings they have other books that you can purchase, and they have churches. They initially weren't trying to have a separate denomination, but when they were learning these things, and then they went back to their respective churches, the people were like, "What are you talking about? We don't. That's not how we think." So then they started their own denomination, and they have a school in, I think it's Kansas.
Okay.
And then a number of books that you can purchase, that you can read to supplement your understanding of Christianity. And they also have a metaphysical Bible dictionary.
Oh, wow. Wow. I think, Jessica, I think they have a church in Sarasota. It's called Unity. It might be Unity of Hope or something, but I think I'm looking for a nature-based school for my daughter, because we're getting ready to move, and they have their school at that church, and I think that might be one of the churches.
So are they called Unity Church, like all of the churches?
Yeah, they call them different kinds of unity. Like they have
Okay.
Renaissance unity.
Yes.
They have unity in the name generally.
Yes. I think it's
And they
Unity.
have I'm pretty sure there's a website, a unity website, where you can maybe find a church or purchase books.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so happy this is coming up, and like you said, it was divine, because we are integrating this into our life. I'm trying to be very intentional with raising my children, and not having it be so, because I went to a Catholic kindergarten. I was raised in Christian school all the way up until middle school. I went to public school for high school, but I mean, by that time I was already indoctrinated. So I am not doing that for my kids. And so but me and my husband are very, very spiritual, and both of us together, and we know that we're very powerful, and so we want to be different. And so all of these conversations inform and help me with that difference, and help me with explaining things to my children, and how we teach them, and the things that we do, and the rituals in our household. And so I'm so happy that you said, like, God is within us. It is an eternal consciousness that we have, Christ consciousness. We can still operate in that way. I'm a nurse, and so when I went to nursing school, I actually went to a Catholic nursing school, because nuns are nurses too, and so we had to take a Bible class as a part of our nursing curriculum. And I just thought it was so beautiful, because we learned about Jesus, and obviously how he cared for others, and how that was a gift. And I really developed that persona and throughout my nursing career, and being a vessel, and saying, Lord, please, as before I would walk into the hospital, like, Jesus, operate through me. Please shine through me. Let people see you through me. And so that is, like, you saying that, it's just like, oh my gosh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. Catholicism is deep. I actually took some. I audited some classes at a Catholic university, and when I was looking at the master's program. So so I learned a little bit more about Catholicism and kind of some of the principles. And it's interesting because Catholicism is one of the most ritualistic denominations in the Christian faith, and a lot of their rituals and practices and saints have been kind of taken over from different cultures.
Stolen. We want to be respectful. We want to be respectful.
Well, you know what? They understand. They understand the power of the pyramids and of the Black Madonna and of the saints in Guatemala and they understand the power of it.
Yes.
And so, in order to be able to access more, access that power, they took it and kind of renamed it and made it something other than that, because they understand the power.
Wow.
And so religion is deep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ilissa, I'm coming to visit you so we can go to church.
To the unity. Well, I got to make sure that it has to be. It has to be that, though. It has to
I
be.
looked up Unity Church, so I'm like, wait, is it because I see a lot of unities, and there is a church that's actually near me that is not a typical church, and I've been afraid to go there just because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to get myself into.
Well, see if you can get a class. They always have, most Unity churches have classes.
Okay.
That you can go to like in the evening, and so you can kind of get a little flavor, get a little feel for it,
and see
before you are actually in the worship experience.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I have to make sure that is what it is first, Jessica. Yeah. But so moving forward, though, moving on, how did that evolve into what you're doing now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a big question.
Yes.
How did that evolve? It's happened in stages. It's happened in stages. Well, I had my first past life regression in 1998, I think it was. It was one of my classmates in the Black Hat Sect Tantric Buddhist Feng Shui course. And so she, went to her house and we just did it on her sofa. And then I was just doing more reading about past lives and past life regression. And it's interesting because my mother would just matter of factly say, I think I was a cat in my other life. I think I was this. I mean, she just talked about it matter of factly. And one time as a girl, I saw, when I was about 7, I saw something in my bedroom with some kind of shadow figure. And my mother said, "Oh, don't worry about it. That's just Aunt Bert, my aunt who had just passed away. That's just Aunt Bert." I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
And so it became kind of normalized as a child. And then, and so it's really been kind of a difficult path because I was really trying to be this professional and, college graduate. I'm a professional. I'm trying to have a career. I want to be a career woman. But my heart was really more, I didn't really know how to define what my heart was. And I think now I as time has shifted, I see myself really as I'm still very much devoted to spiritual paths. So I consider myself a priestess. And it just, over time, I tried this and that. Some things worked, some things didn't. I went through a lot of, I went through a dark night of the soul, a couple of dark nights of the soul. And then somehow, just a couple of years ago, it seems like everything just started to come together. All the different pieces, all the different things that I did. And sometimes I was frustrated because I'm like, I did this and it didn't work out. Like when I first studied Reiki, are you familiar with Reiki?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Because you are probably have already learned about that or know about that. And so I learned Reiki. I became attuned to Reiki in like 2001, and I was like, okay, bet. Becoming a Feng Shui consultant didn't quite work out, but now I'm gonna do Reiki, and then I'm gonna be a Reiki master, and I'm gonna have my career, and I'm gonna start my practice, and everything is gonna be fine, and I'm not gonna have to do any more of that, that kind of work where I have to be in this corporate setting.
Mm-hmm.
And but I couldn't get the practice going. Because I was in this dark night of the soul. I was grieving still, and in a state of, in a depression, and I got really, really depressed. So over the years, I've tried different things, and now all the things that I tried and thought that I failed at are really coming back together now, and they're all working together in this tapestry that is, and things are coming out in ways that I hadn't even. I'm thinking I'm talking about one thing, or I'm in a place to do one thing, and then something else comes out. Like I said, I was doing a vending event, and I had at least 3 people who were trying to reconcile how to be on the spiritual path and still be Christian and still be connected to their families and still. So I don't even know how to say how I got there.
Yes.
I don't really know how to say it.
Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to. Well, and that's why we're having these conversations, because it's not just one way. It's not just, okay, I found my thing and now this is it. There's so many different pathways. There's healing backwards and forwards and up and down, side to side, that has to happen, that is currently happening still. And you have these experiences and you're just like, okay, now I have it. And it's to be, everything happens in the time that it needs to happen. And I feel like it's a gift to be able to look back and say, oh wow, that is guiding me, or that is my foundation for what I'm doing right now. That was the purpose of it. And so that makes sense. It does make sense.
Yes. It's very much a gift.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
So I still need to purchase your deck, Sanaa, which I'm definitely going to, because this whole starseed thing,
Yes.
because I'm like, how did I even get there? How did I hear about this, learn about this? I just knew that there are. I have studied different religions and learned a lot about religion, always looking for the truth or what resonates with me. And I'm like, almost everything does. So yeah, you have this beautiful deck, but Ilissa and I were wondering what your starseed origin is
Well, we
and how
want to
you.
say the name of the deck too.
Oh yeah.
African Starseed Oracle Deck. She is the
African
creator.
Starseed Oracle Deck. I don't have the I don't have any of the cards here, but anyway, so this is one of the cards from the deck. And why don't I just pull a card for us today?
Yes.
And
We were supposed to do that earlier, but yes, this is good.
See what's resonating for us, whoever's watching or may connect later on. So my starseed. So first of all, I'm like, wait a minute, what is this starseed stuff? I went on YouTube and there was someone like, I was like, okay,
I can relate.
That's not me. That's not me. That's not me.
Right.
No. I'm not R2D2 from Star Wars. And I feel very much connected to the earth. There's some people who say, "Oh, I don't feel like I feel like I don't belong here," but I don't feel that way at all. I feel very much connected to the earth. I'm very root chakra, sensual, earth centric. I love music that's got a real rhythmic downbeat. I'm a belly dancer. I'm in this body. I'm not here to be something else, to be in a light body, or to ascend to a light body, or to leave the earth, or to. I'm very much rooted to the earth. So this whole starseed thing, I'm like,
What is this?
and
How
then
did that come about?
when I heard it in my head, I was just like, during even before the pandemic, I just got this inclination that maybe I was from like like I was connected to another planet, like another planet. What is that about? So it took me a while a couple of years before I started to figure it out. And it really comes together when you think about past lives, when you understand yourself to be an expression of the infinite and eternal presence. That means that, and when you know that no energy never dissipates, it only recreates. All the water that is here has always been here since the beginning. It just changes forms, whether it's snow or mist or rain. It changes forms, and then it becomes the ocean, it becomes the mist, it becomes. So when you look at nature and you look at the earth, everything recreates. There's decomposition, and when a tree falls, it decomposes and becomes something else, but it doesn't cease to exist.
Right.
And so that's an expression of the infinite and an example of the infinite and eternal presence that we are, that breathes us, that makes our hearts beat. So if that's the case, then, and I already have understood that my father had passed away, but he was still around. His life force was still around. So then I have actual proof in my mind that there is life after death. And then when you couple that with, you know, the whole, so the fact that nothing really leaves here, it just changes form. That's so that gave me that made me feel a little more comfortable. And then I started to look at Egypt, and how Egypt talks about Sirius and the star Sirius, and how there's a definite connection to the stars. And then when I read different accounts of the goddess, and different cultures have creation stories, creation myths, where something fell from the sky into a lake or a river and became these teachers, these divine teachers. So it's making more sense now. And then I did another past life regression where I actually saw myself as a star. I was a star in the heavens.
Wow.
Then it's not quite so far fetched.
Yeah.
But I also still needed to have it be grounded in something that I believe and see how it's related to African culture. And I'm still exploring that. And this deck is a way to explore that.
Okay.
So I'm going to pull a card here. The power that came is hidden power.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Hidden power.
Yes.
Yeah. So trust your intuition. All of us has spiritual gifts that may at this point seem hidden, but they really have to be revealed at the appropriate time in the divine timing. So you kind of have to have a certain foundational understanding of things in order to be able to shift and to be able to sometimes receive the different aspects of your gifts. Yeah. So I don't know. I said a lot.
Well, yes.
What was the question again?
You answered it. You answered it. Just the origin of it, how it came to be, and how you're using it today. It's exactly what we've already said. It's divine timing of everything, and how you got to this point is trusting your intuition and just knowing, as long as you're following that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I think the reason why this conversation is so necessary is because, as an African, person of African descent, or, descendant of slaves, a lot of our spirituality has been villainized. And by, colonialism, colonization, Christianity. And so discovering your hidden power and having your eyes open, like I do have dreams and visions. Something is telling me, I do see spirits, or I can use my voice to make things happen. You there's fear behind it sometimes to even reveal that to your close loved ones because of the brainwashing that we've had.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole big one. How do you deal with your family, and how do you be your true self with your family? And honestly, I don't know if I can really say that. I can't necessarily give you say that this is exactly the way you do it, because it's still unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
I think the key is, for me, what I've tried to do is to integrate my spiritual gifts and to function in my daily mundane life with my spiritual gifts intact. So at one point I was like, I wanted to like look different, and I wanted to, everybody see me as different. And I'm like, just the spiritual thing, look at me, So,
Yeah.
but what I've learned, and even if when I try to kind of blend in and just kind of speak from a really basic level so that people will feel more comfortable, people still see me as different.
Ain't that the truth?
They always have.
Yeah.
They always have. They always have. Because I was not created to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
I was created to be a change agent.
Wow.
So, that's just the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you can come from, like with my family members, like I have a cousin, elder cousin, who's in her near 90, and I don't really talk to her on a daily basis about what I'm doing for my work, but I'm still very much honest and loving and kind. And so when I hear things, I still hear it from a multidimensional perspective. I still hear it from what does this say about our ancestral lineage?
Mm-hmm.
This way of understanding life, this way of her way of processing.
Mm-hmm.
How is that a reflection
Mm-hmm.
of my ancestral heritage, and how can I take that basic foundational understanding and transmute it so that it is a part of the family's healing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe and I think, and then people they know that there's something about me. Often people think I'm a church lady. They just don't till they start talking to me. Then I'm like, oh,
yeah.
But
Yeah.
But the thing is, in this whole notion of like Jesus the Christ, he was always accepting of everyone and understood everyone and wherever they are in their journey. That from a loving perspective.
Yep.
If we can demonstrate that, and of course it's a practice, because we as we practice, sometimes we do it and sometimes maybe not. But but just being loving and accepting, understanding the patriarchy, religion, colonialism, the impacts of being enslaved, and understanding all of that in the and understanding your family in that context, and then coming from this internally enlightened way of being. Then people can know you by your fruits.
Yes.
So they don't have to. They don't have. You don't have to say. I just went here. I'm doing this. I'm this kind of so and so.
Right.
But they know you. They know you by your spirit, and they feel loving and open and accepting, accepted by you. Then your light, your energy, your vibration can activate something within them,
Mm.
and then maybe they'll start to shift. With my mother and I used to fuss and fight, and I was going through the spiritual journey. She's like, "What you talking about? What is that? You just need to get out there and get a job." and I, I said, and I'm sensitive, and I was so sensitive about it, and it just was, and it hurt my feelings with the way she was behaving and speaking. And but I was still doing my own work, my own processing my own stuff. And so I went home one time, and she was trying to push my buttons and saying certain things, and I was like, well, and I didn't get upset. And she said, "What's going on with you? You used to really get upset when I would say something like that." And I was like, well, I'm just realizing. I said, when I was a child, I spoke as a child.
Ooh.
When I became an adult, I moved a different way. And so then she started shifting the way she did things. She started behaving differently. And so the way she would poke fun and just kind of try to bully, and she stopped doing it.
Wow.
Yeah, and then over the years, and then I ended up coming back to Michigan, and I was staying with my mother, and she was saying, "What are you doing here? What's going on?" And then my mother was a prophetic dreamer, and she was very intuitive, and she said, "I had a dream that about you, and we were in this house, and then there was this. I was all upset that you were here, and then I saw this big red chair in the middle of the living room, and." And when I think she took that to mean that I am exactly who I'm supposed to be, and that she's supposed to help me and support me.
Wow.
Okay.
And so after that, she was more supportive. She still didn't quite understand, like, what. But then I realized too that there's a way to to kind of tone it down, tone my spiritual, the way I'm processing, like this ascended person that I am.
Yeah.
I had to try to tone that down a little bit.
Yeah.
And realize that when you look at our culture, especially a lot of Black culture, the spiritual gifts are just like accepted as normal.
Right. Right.
People just, yeah, she had something about her. I don't have a good feeling about that. Or, or you go to your hairdresser, and your hairdresser sits and tells you something. There's always been readers. People plan the numbers based on their dreams. People, so there's always been a very natural interplay between the spirit world and Black culture.
Yes.
If you really stop to take a look at it.
Yes.
You're right.
Oh,
You
yeah.
are 100% right.
Yeah.
But that's always been my confusion, is that is evident. But then, so why is it so crazy when we start to explicitly say these things, in a different way,
Yeah.
It's
Because so much fear has been programmed into us, especially fear for women. Women, those who just develop the patriarchy are deathly afraid of the power of women, and they really don't want women to reconnect to our spiritual gifts, because, and so this is why we've been programmed with doubt, self-doubt, and self-deprecation, attacking other women who are showing their freedom, spiritual gifts. I mean, we're talking about the witch trials. In the quantum healing hypnosis sessions that I've done, there have been a number of people who have come, who went to lives where they were persecuted, or where they were mystical women who died a tragic death because of those mystical gifts.
Wow.
And so we've returned, we're returning, and we also in the process of returning have to do the healing that comes along with it. So the healing of being being killed in such a way, or being ostracized because of the community for your gifts.
Because we still carry that.
You asked us earlier how we, why we started the podcast, and that what you're saying is literally when Ilissa was like, "Hey, this is my idea. Would you like to join me?" And I said, "Yes," because we no longer need to be afraid of these things. We have this remembrance of fear of keeping our mouths shut, and it's like through the act of through practicing, living this, doing the work as what you're doing, Sanaa. Like, I feel like it's definitely a reprogramming of all of us.
Yeah.
And it's why we even the idea to have this type of series that we're filming, it's so necessary.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
was gonna say too, like, I mean, yes, to exactly everything that you guys just said. I want to ask you exactly for our listeners to explain what quantum healing hypnosis
Yes.
is, and how you do that with your clients.
Mm-hmm. Quantum healing hypnosis technique was developed by Dolores Cannon.
Mm-hmm.
Dolores Cannon is a woman who wrote about 15, 16 books, and all of the books that she wrote were information that she gathered through hypnosis, hypnotizing others. And it's a method of past life regression, or sometimes you may not go to a past life. You may stay in this current life. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to believe in past lives in order to engage with quantum healing hypnosis, because there's so much that happens in this life that's often hidden in subconscious that that we could explore. So
Mm-hmm.
you may go to a past life. You may stay in this current life. You may go to colors, or you may go to just darkness and peace. And it's a way of contacting your higher self, and then getting information, answers to questions, why things are the way they are, the best way to move forward on your path. Healing, you can get actual physical healing of your body.
Wow.
And the healing takes place on it's quantum, because while you're in this particular, you're laying on the bed in my office. This is my office. Um, you're laying on the bed in my office, but you still can um, see something that happened in the past, feel exactly what's happening, and then reframe what happened so that
Mm.
it becomes a source of healing
Oh
for you,
wow.
or that the healing is taking place, so that so when you understand why things happen the way they happen, often that's the way to get healing, and for it to take some of the sting out of it.
Wow.
Um, it also is a way for those, especially women. My company is in the center of her power, and I started off by teaching belly dancing. That was one of the first things that I did, because it was a way to access the divine feminine without actually talking directly about spirituality and some of these things that people, I don't know if people were really ready for at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in the center of her power, because my mission is to help reestablish the divine feminine in the world, and often that is through helping women to reconnect with and reconcile the divine feminine within themselves, and then allow the ignition of the divine feminine to work in concert with the divine masculine within themselves.
Mm.
So so a lot of the people who have come to me are women who are on a spiritual path,
Mm-hmm.
and who want to be able to understand and process so that they can expand more. Ascension is just the growth, and it's the understanding of ourselves on multiple levels. So we exist on multiple levels. I mean, just even in our lives, we have so many different kinds of relationships. With
Mm-hmm.
daughters,
Mm-hmm.
friends,
Mm-hmm.
employees, employers.
Mm-hmm.
So we always have multiple ways that we are showing up in the world, and that's also true in the subconscious.
Mm.
There are multiple levels of subconscious and multiple levels of of understanding, and not just, it's not really level, because it's really more of a spiral. So it's not like, okay, I've come here, so now I have to deal with this. Because even in past lives, where people were, priestesses, they are still processing very human, the issues of the human condition.
Yeah.
So quantum healing hypnosis is generally done in person. It's only done in person, this particular method.
Okay. Okay.
But I do also do online hypnosis, but it's not as deep. The trance level is not as deep.
Okay,
as
yeah,
with
that was
quantum healing
going to be
hypnosis.
my next question. Can we do it virtually? I might have to fly. Where are you located? You in Detroit?
I'm in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, yeah, I might have to. We might have to take a trip.
Yeah, y'all should come on down.
Yes.
Come on down and visit. Now, where are you? Where are you located?
In Florida.
Yeah,
Okay, you both in Florida?
Yes.
In
Okay,
Florida, not
okay.
from, but yeah, in
Yeah, we're in Florida. Yeah.
In Florida. Okay, so where are you from, Jessica?
Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, Brooklyn, and the house I used to live in not Fort Greene, Clinton Hill.
Oh, okay.
In Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes. So yeah, I would love to work with you all. We should. I'm actually going to be starting a program. It's going to launch in June. It's called the Amululu Priestess Activation Circle. And Amululu is a. Are you familiar with Lemuria?
Yes. Isn't that one of the cards that you have?
Oh yes, you get a gold star. Listen, you did your homework.
Yes. Yes, I told you. I even had my daughter playing with the cards. It was so. I just gave her the cards, right? And I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna play with them." And then, like a couple of days, we put them away. Then a couple of days later, I was washing dishes, and she took them out herself. And I immediately was like, "Don't touch my cards, man! You gonna rip one of them?" But I said, "No, no, no. Be calm, be calm. Let her play with them. See what she does." She was pulling the cards out like, "This is you, mommy." She was pulling them. She had pulled 3 cards out. I was like, "Look, this is the card for you. This is the card for me. This is the card for Dada."
Well, these babies are ascended masters. A lot of these babies are coming here fully loaded. They already have. They don't have to go through all this. The programming. About our gifts. So they're coming with their gifts already loaded.
Yeah.
And so it's good that you are aware of spirituality and spiritual gifts, and that you're encouraging her to be, because a lot of times the children are going to be the ones that they're going to catapult your family forward, probably.
Yes. Yes.
So spiritually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but in the circle, it's designed for people who are wanting to learn more, or who are in the process of launching a practice, a holistic practice. I've had a number of people come to me who wanted mentorship. And so this is kind of that. And there'll be a summit at the end where you can be featured on the summit to launch your practice, or your podcast, or whatever it is you have on a larger stage.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And then and if you want to add the quantum healing hypnosis onto it, you can do that at a reduced rate.
Oh wow, that's awesome. So it's
a
mentorship.
If you want to learn Reiki, you can do that too.
Okay.
Well, it's a circle, and so when we were talking about it, and then I'll share some of my perspectives on activation, on spirituality. So my gifts, and the way that spirit works with me, is dance and music, song, nature. Those are my main things. And those are the ways that spirit works through me, and that spirit heals me. So really, a lot of it is sensuality and embodiment. It's really kind of integrating the lower 3 chakras with the upper chakras.
Mm-hmm.
And also providing a container where people can talk and be among other people who are on a similar path.
Wow, that
Yeah, I
sounds
like that.
great.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds really good. But yeah, so
Yes.
we have a segment too where we like to actively manifest on air. So what are you currently manifesting, or what do you want to manifest?
I saw this question on the list of questions. Ilissa. You know, I am in the process. I am well, let's see. How should I put this? So I inherited some property, a house, and the vision for the house is for it to be a healing space and an incubator for holistic practitioners. So that's what I'm working on manifesting. And you
Wow.
all send me all your good wishes if you could, because
Yes.
Yes.
it is like a real shift for me to move. This is like a whole new paradigm
Yes.
with the property, because I used to rent it out, and so it's a whole new paradigm. But it will be a wonderful beacon for not just, so I live in a place where there's a lot of water, and so the energy that we feel here is amplified with the water,
Mm.
and I guess you too in Florida. So
Mhm.
um, so to the extent that we can create a space where the frequency is raising, or raising the frequency in the space, and for ourselves and for the community and for the city and for the larger um, community, it's important. It's important because um, we can support others as they are processing, healing, growing. And so many people are in a state of suffering right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm in the exact opposite.
Mhm.
I've been through suffering, but this is not the period of suffering for me.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Um,
Good.
and
Yes. Yes. I feel the same way. Yes.
but the thing is, so this space, that's what I'm manifesting. This space where um, the house can be used for its highest and best good, and it can also support others as they're moving in through their healing journey, whether they're practitioners or people who are coming to the practitioner for some type of healing.
Wow, that's
Yay.
big and
Yes.
beautiful. Yes, and
Yeah.
so it is. We're gonna
Sure is
agree
awesome.
on that, and
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
yes, put our thought
Mm-hmm.
power forward and out, and send you love and light with that. That is, we want. I would love to come. and
Oh,
and
good. Yeah, thank you so much.
yes,
I could definitely use all the support, um,
yes.
all the support that I can. That I'm actually willing to accept all the support that's needed in order for this to happen, because it's not really. And this is what I'm having to say to myself. It's not really about me. This really could be so impactful for so many people, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really is amplifying, multiplying this thing that was left to me. My
Mm-hmm.
mother, as I mentioned, my mother was a cotton picker. She
Mm-hmm.
migrated from the South,
Wow.
and so the fact that she was able to acquire the house with her husband, and to leave it is really, even in her death, my mother is still caring for me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And and it's not just my mother who helped to make this happen. It's all my ancestors, especially the ancestors who particularly helped to contribute to making this house
Yeah.
still here.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, when you think about how many, and right now, a lot of Black people are not in a state where they have any kind of property, or
Mm-hmm.
or wealth, or I mean, and not and so So it's a blessing, and it's still a shift for me. So thank you so much for your well wishes.
Yes, I hope you have to get a big red chair to put in the middle of the house.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yes.
ashe.
Yes, I
I look
just thought
forward to
about
seeing
that.
those
Like,
pictures.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna be
And
there,
being
Jessica. What are
there.
you talking
Look,
about?
because
What are you
we're
talking
gonna
about? We're gonna be there.
I'm imagining. I already see the rollout. You know, you're gonna be posting the pictures. It's gonna be on your Instagram. So we're gonna be like, oh, okay, we see it. Yes, we'll be there. We're already there. But
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
gonna be in
okay,
there.
good.
I'm gonna be there supporting her even before. We're gonna
Oh,
be there.
thank you,
yeah,
thank you, thank you.
Yes, this is awesome.
yes,
This is amazing. I know we
yes.
have to wrap it up quickly, but Jessica, did you want to ask her about the
Yes,
herb?
we have another segment that we do, which is called I Got an Herb for That.
Okay.
And we talk about different plants, different herbs that have helped us throughout our life. So I was wondering, do you have a plant friend that has helped you along your spiritual journey or that has just always been there for you?
Um, I can't. I would try to get her in the background, but you can't really see her. Huh? Let me see. Let's see. Can you see her? There
Yes.
she. So that plant. I know that the lighting changed, but um, yes, there was. I got a sage plant that
Mm.
I planted in the backyard, and it was small. It was like it was just a little small container. So I planted it, and then every year it got bigger and bigger and bigger. This plant was so mystical because even in winter, it was still green. I
Wow.
could go and clip sage from the plant, have fresh sage even in the winter,
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
and it was right in the center. It was just it it was such a um, and I don't have it anymore because I had to have some work done in the yard. But I have to get another one. But that plant was I used it for cleansing, for space clearing, for food. Um, use it in recipes.
Hmm.
And I would clip the flowers when they would have flowers and put it in a vase.
Hmm.
So sage.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
We love sage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and it makes sense that it grows in the wintertime too. That I
Hmm.
could see that. I could see that happening. Wow. Yeah, thank you for sharing
Yes.
that with us. And we
Yeah.
kind of actually already answered the question for witchy shit is you shared that your African we have a segment called witchy shit the African Starseed Oracle Deck. And so that was perfect that you pulled a card and show. Can you hold the card up again and show us,
Mm-hmm.
please? Hidden
Yeah.
power.
What happens? I have to find it again. I don't know what
Oh,
happened to it. Oh, it dropped on the floor.
oh, okay. That is so beautiful. Oh my goodness, I
Wow.
love that. Perfect.
Hmm.
Perfect. This is
Hmm.
the perfect card for this episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
Yes, it
really is.
is.
Yes. But so do you have any more questions, Jessica, that you want to ask her? I know we're coming up on our
Yeah,
time.
the question that we've been asking all of our guests at the end is, how do you remain grounded? You said this is not your season of suffering. This is your season of elevation and joy. And Alyssa and I both align with that.
Mhm.
But how do
Mhm.
you stay grounded, especially doing all the work that you do with the people that you do it with?
I do spending time in nature and
Yeah.
singing. Yeah, those are my two. Whenever I can, because
Yeah.
I can always sing anywhere.
Mhm.
And taking walks in nature are the best. And even if I don't take a walk, I'll just go out in the yard and stand.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So that's the way. I mean, and it feels like it feels like the easiest way is to integrate this for me. The spirituality is for it to just be a normal part of my life,
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and not see it as something separate and something. And I don't really see myself as.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I am mystical, and I guess, but I don't really see myself as that. I see myself as just
Who you
like
are.
this is really the embodiment of this. This is what we are ascending to.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm still ascending too. I'm not saying I've arrived. I'm saying, but the whole notion of our spiritual gifts, they're designed to really work in tandem
Yes.
with our physical body and with our human experience,
Yes.
and not necessarily designed to separate us from others and separate us from our physical bodies.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's awesome. I've definitely been doing that a lot more too with the kids, just going out in nature. And Jessica sings. I sing too, but Jessica's the one that sings in front of people. So
Oh no,
that
I don't sing in front of people, but I sing. You sing, Jessica?
Yeah, I mean, not so much in front of people like that,
girl,
but
girl, yeah.
but yeah, singing is one of my that was the very first thing I came out the womb. Just I'm like, this feels really good, and it makes me like it makes me I feel the energy running through my body as I do it. So I've
Ooh.
just been learning more about activating the voice and what it means. And Ilissa and I have been reading a book called The Alchemy of Voice, and it has like aligned so many points for me. So, but yeah, I sing. My daughter and I, we sing together, and yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old is your daughter?
9.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes. And
Nice.
I just started, so funny that you said you belly dance. I just started a belly dancing class.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm
Nice.
happy. I'm happy
Nice.
to do that.
I feel like belly dance is the dance of the priestess. Um,
Yeah.
Mm.
that's a whole nother show.
Yes. Well, now that you said that, are you open to coming back for another show? We want to have you back.
Of course.
Yes, we want to have you
Of
back.
course. It's been so nice connecting with you too.
Yes,
Yes.
this was
Thank you.
amazing. I mean, everything that was said was just like I told you we
Mhm.
had just previously recorded another episode, and it falls right in line. Like
Mhm.
everything is just going
Mhm.
to all come together, and it's just jaw is on the floor.
Uh
So
huh.
thank you. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. But yes, we
What was the
want
other show about?
we're filming our next series that's going to come out before this one that we're recording right now is called it's about nourishing your mind, body, and spirit. And we were talking about meditating, but we do a brief check-in. And so we were just talking about Easter and the weekend and how we celebrated, but we were just talking about, Jessica said that she had went to church with her kids, but the the pastor kept saying, oh, Jesus is coming back, Jesus is coming back. But she said she made it a point to share with her kids, God is already here, God is around us, we are the embodiment of him. And then we talked about Christ consciousness, and how really taking on Christ and his teachings, and just the consciousness of him allows us to be the light for other people. So it just, we always infuse what's happening with, in terms of Christianity and our families and those conversations into the episode. So it was just literally this, it all will make sense, like how these episodes
Oh,
come together.
Yeah. My
So
kids were like, "Why do they keep saying that? Jesus is here."
hmm
So yeah,
hmm
it definitely. This conversation was definitely like a part two.
yes,
Part two.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Can you tell everybody where to find you, your website, Instagram, social media, YouTube?
yes, 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 yes. So you can find me at on my website, centerherpower.com. And then on Instagram, I am Sanaa Nia Joy Green. And
Mm,
Nia is NIA purpose. It's from the when you look at Kwanzaa, Swahili, Nia is purpose
Okay.
and joy. So my aspiration is to work with purpose and joy.
Wow.
And then my last name is Green, so Sanaa Nia Joy Green. And then I also have another one called The Past Lives of Black Folk,
Okay.
which I'm still cultivating, but it's primarily for the quantum healing hypnosis work that I do. And then the Sanaa Nia Joy Green is everything all combined.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and I also have a Facebook page too,
Oh,
in the Center of Her
Okay.
Power.
Yes, please go follow her on Instagram and purchase her African Starseed Oracle deck. I
yeah.
have one. Oh my goodness. The artwork is beautiful and just each of the cards just I don't know. I feel like the energy from them. Just like I remember the Amululu one for some reason and a siren one. I think my that's the one that my daughter had pulled, and so I just feel like they carry a certain energy. And if you want to know more about or just discover star seeds, especially African star seed, please pick up her deck. Please go and purchase her deck. And find us on Keep Expecting Miracles Pod on Instagram. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Keep Expecting Miracles. Share these episodes and send us your manifestation stories.
Please. Yes.
Yes, yes. Thank you
Yeah.
guys. Thank you everyone for joining us. Until next time. Bye bye.
Bye.